So, we all know that I always have a lot to say about everything. So, this video is about my midterms just because I want to rant, and why not rant to a camera because the camera has to listen. And just because midterms are different, my midterms here are different than my midterms in the US. So, it's pretty interesting, right? So, I am taking 5 classes. 3 of my classes are in Spanish, 2 of my classes are in English. And the classes themselves are just very different. For most of my classes, we have assigned readings that we have to do every week, and then the only things that are graded is our midterm and our final. And so that in itself is pretty different than the US. Also, my classes are fairly discussion based. I mean, the teacher does lecture a lot in a lot of my classes, but there's also a lot of engagement, and it's not like, I don't know, it's different. It's different because we're trying to understand concepts instead of the professor just throwing all this information at us and trying to get us to memorize like terms and stuff. So it feels different because we're trying to learn concepts. And so that's different, and we'll be in class, and my professors will ask us like, well, what our thoughts are on this concept, or like what we think about this, or how it relates to like what's going on in the US. So that's cool. We do a lot of critical thinking, if you will. Also, so what else? One of my exams, I'm taking an oral class, so it's just learning how to like speak better Spanish basically. And so that midterm I already did, and I had to give a speech, and it was super low key. Like the only requirement was that we couldn't read off of our paper, and I had like notes written up, and our professor just wanted us to talk about a subject pretty much. She was like, just find interesting points and talk about it. And so I got up there and I like talked about it, whatever, and she corrected our Spanish as we went along, and she was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, she would comment on stuff, and she like cut me off, and she was like, okay, that's enough, like, you're good. So it was more of like, let's have a conversation, and this is the topic you want to talk about. So that was kind of cool, because it wasn't like I have to give this speech and I'm graded on how many times I say like, and you know what I mean. So that was different. It's just like, it's more relaxed, tranquila. It's just more tranquil here. So my other midterm, I had my first midterm in Spanish yesterday, and so we had 3 essay questions, which our professor gave us all the questions. We had 11 questions that could possibly be on the test, and she gave them all to us beforehand so we could prep. And then the test was open book, open note. We could use our phones for like a Spanish dictionary. So yeah, like what the heck? What else do you need? So I worked on the questions the night before and had my answers already written up. So like it was fine. And then I have 2 midterms next week, one in Spanish and one in English, and they're both open note, open book, open everything. And then I have a paper due next week. So I just really like it because I feel like I've been learning a lot more in my classes, and I'm retaining the information. You know how you're in class and you have to cram or whatever, and you just like spit back everything and you just memorize. And then after class ends, you don't remember anything you learned. And so, I mean, I guess I can't speak for the future, Sarah, but I just feel like when I'm learning, I understand better, and I can talk about it like outside of the context of the classroom, and I feel like I'm going to remember it, at least for the most part, or maybe better than I remember other stuff. Maybe not. Maybe that's all just crap and I won't remember it either. But bottom line is, all my tests are like, they're critical thinking. So they're like, oh, relate this text. I mean, so you still have to kind of know, like, you have to read the text and you have to know, but it's like, what do you think about this text, or how does this relate to this, or like, so that's the whole point of why it's open book and open note, because it's about your thoughts on it. So you can't exactly cheat, because it's like, you know, it's analyzing what you think about it and comparing it to other things and whatever. Like for my gender test, we like read this, had several readings or whatever, and one of the questions was like, why is this important to the studies of gender? And, you know, that's pretty opinion yet like factually based, and so it's just cool because you actually have to think and use your brain, and you're actually learning and reflecting on what you learned, and such a crazy concept, am I right? So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. So wish me luck on the rest of my midterms.